Hello everyone, my name is Mia and welcome back to Brimful of Books. Today, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone who isn't that, everyone basically, I saw a post that said that the most inclusive greeting instead of ladies and gentlemen is cowards. So let's do that again. Today, you cowards, we're gonna do a TBR. So I'm not actually very good at reading the books on my TBR when I set myself one, because I am a failure.
There's a mushroom on your shirt.
Oh, I'm a failure.
But this time I'm not going to fail because this TBR is going to be exciting. I really do want to read the books on my TBR more often because I have so many books in my TBR cart, so many books that I say I want to get to, but then I just don't. So I'm going to start doing actual regular TBRs every single month and then see how that suits me. And for that purpose, I actually created my own TBR game. I absolutely love watching other people's TBR games. There are so many amazing TBR games already out there. And I thought I'm going to add one to the mix and do my own one. So I'm going to show you my new TBR game in this video, but I'm also going to participate in the magical readathon hosted by Book Roast, which I'm very, very excited about. So I'm going to have my TBR game and then also my TBR for the readathon. I'm going to do my best to actually match them up as much as possible so that I actually get through all of these books, but we will see how that will work. I did the magical readathon last year and the year before, and I'm just beyond excited that she actually brought it back without the series by Turfy McTurfface. And G from Book Roast actually created her own fantasy world with characters and a story, and I'm just so excited. I'm just constantly in awe at the kind of creativity and the effort that she puts into these, and it's gonna be perfect. I know it's gonna be perfect. So I'm gonna start with my TBR game now, just explain the game, then I'll show you the game, and then we're gonna talk about the books that I'll be reading afterwards. So my TBR game is based on Settlers of Catan, which is a game that I've played for many decades. I'm not that old. I used to play it a lot with my family. My brother always won, so I was very upset about that. But this time, I'm gonna win because I'm the only player. So I made these little hexagonal pieces for the game board, just like in Catan. And then I've also got these resource cards, that's what they'd be called in Catan. As you can probably tell, the colours on these correspond with these colours as well. So there are 5 colours in total, and each colour represents a different book genre. So we've got the green with wands on it, which represents fantasy and sci-fi, obviously. Then we have the red colour with hearts on it, which clearly represents romance. Then we have the grey ones with knives on it, which obviously represents thriller/horror. Then there's also the blue ones with question marks and exclamation points on them, which is non-fiction. Lastly, we have contemporary, which is yellow with little globes on them. So these are the 5 categories, book genres that I'm going to be picking from. And these, as I said, correspond to these little cards, and these ones are actually the ones that have the prompts on them. The prompts are not always specific to the genre that they are, but a lot of the time they are specific to that, because I mean, in romance I've got a prompt that says like enemies to lovers, and that would be difficult to do in like a non-fiction. So sometimes they are specific, sometimes they're not. And obviously the genres kind of overlap as well, especially with like contemporary. There's contemporary romance, there's romance and fantasy, there's like all different things. But yeah, as long as I think that the book has that genre as one of its main genres. If, for example, the book is a fantasy book that also has a love story in it, then I can pick it either as a romance book or as a fantasy book. So whatever fits me and my mood and what I want. Obviously, I can always expand this game if I realise that there's a genre that I've been missing, a different genre that's not kind of covered by any of these, then I can always add that. I'll take away some of the other ones, stuff like that. It's always adjustable, and that's why I like it so much. Apart from these cards, we also have little number tokens here, and they're going to be put on the cards just like in Catan. The very exciting thing that I also did was I made tiny little clay figurines to represent the settlements and the cities in Catan. So we have a book that represents a book that is under 400 pages, and then a stack of book that represents a book that is over 400 pages. So whatever book I pick, I check how many pages it has, and then I either put a book down or a little stack of books. And I'm so excited about these. I made a little Polly McClay Animal Crossing character for a friend of mine for I think her birthday or Christmas or something like that, and that was last year, and ever since then I've just been meaning to do more with Polly McClay, and now I finally got to do some more, and it's very exciting. So the game goes somewhat similar to Catan, where you just put all of these hexagonal tiles out, then I put the numbers on each shape, and then obviously I just take 2 6-sided dice and I roll, and whatever number I land on, I check which genre that is and then pick the corresponding prompt for that genre. So let's do that. Okay, so first we're gonna shuffle all of the cards. So this is going to be the middle piece, and now we're just putting the cards around here. Alright, there we go. Now, oh, I need dice. I used to play a lot of D&D type of RPGs, and so we have a lot of dice, but we only need 2. So we're just going to pick different ones each round. Let's start with these 2 lovely dice. Okay, let's do the first roll. I've got my reading journal right here, which is going to give me good luck. How it says on the cover, we shall see. 5. Okay, so we've got a 5 here and a 5 down there. I think I'm going to go for this one just because I do want to read a lot of thrillers, so we shall see. Our first prompt is white on the cover. So for this prompt, I'm going to go with Ace of Spades, which is one of the Dark Academia books that I want to read. So for this first prompt, I'm going to pick Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Ayimide. I hope I didn't butcher that name too much, but yes. As you can see by the rest of this video, I'm going to read a lot of Dark Academia books this month because it's the start of term. I'm starting my masters this month and I need to get back into the academia brain. So I thought I'm going to do another Dark Academia reading vlog, which I've also done last year. That's why a lot of these books are going to be Dark Academia. I don't think this TBR will have all of the books that I'll be reading for that vlog because I'll be putting them in that vlog, so you'll see them then. But Ace of Spades is one of the Dark Academia books that I'm going to be reading. Another thing that you'll be able to tell throughout this video is that I don't actually know a lot about the books that I'm going to be reading because I haven't read them yet, and I like to go into books not knowing too much about them, so that's why. So all I know about Ace of Spades is that it's about these 2 black kids at this really fancy, prestigious private school, and basically the summary ends with someone is out to get them both, someone who holds all the aces, and they're planning much more than a high school game. That sounds very dark, very mysterious, and I think it's going to be an amazing book. This is a very new release. I think it came out a couple of months ago, like June or something, so very excited to already be getting to it and actually read some 2021 releases. So I was going to do it so that each of these roads stands for 100 pages. So say your book is like 320 pages, you get 3 roads that you can put around the books. But I think because this is the first round, I'm not going to bother with that at the moment. I'm just going to put them down wherever I want them to be. According to Storygraph, Ace of Spades has 480 pages, so I will get to put one of these little stacks of books down. I'm going to put it here. So I could also put it here or on any of the corners of this card, basically, because that is the card that I rolled. Now I get to build roads leading away from that. Now we're gonna roll again. Let's roll these 2 lovely dice. This die has a dinosaur instead of a 6 and I love it very much. So let's go. That is an 8. There's 1 8 there and 1 8 there. So I've already basically reached this 8, so let's go for that one. Fantasy. And that is POC characters or author. I think I already know what book to pick for this, and it is Legendborn, which is obviously a Dark Academia book as well. We're sticking with the Dark Academia vibes, and I'm going to be reading Legendborn by Tracy Dion. So as far as I know, this book is about, I think, a 16-year-old girl whose mum passes away, and then she starts to attend this new school. and I think it's a magic school, something like that. Bree, the main character, I think has magical powers herself as well, and I think the book is about her trying to understand what really happened to her mum. The summary says she's kind of trying to uncover this hidden memory within herself and trying to find out what happened to her mum with the help of other magical beings. It's also an Arthurian retelling, so I've seen a few people read this during the Merlin readathon, and I was going to read that too, but I didn't quite have enough time, so I'm going to do it this month. And I'm so excited for this. I've been meaning to read this for so long, and now I can finally do that. And again, Legendborn has over 400 pages. Why are these all so long? So I get to put a little stack of books down again, and we're gonna build some roads. Let's go down here. Okay, now we're gonna roll again, picking these 2 dice. That is a 6. Okay, there's a 6 here and there's a 6 there, but I think I'm gonna go with this 6, even though we're already on here on this side, but we can still build on this side. And let's see what that is. So it's obviously thriller horror, and the prompt is read when it's dark outside. Okay, so that is one of the ones that can literally be any book whatsoever, as long as it's a thriller or a horror book. So that is really, really good for me, because now I can pick any book that I want. I think I'm gonna make it easy for myself and go with a graphic novel, because it's really easy to read that like in one cozy evening. There are a few horror/thriller graphic novels that I do want to read, so that's perfect. Of course, the books that I'm talking about are the Junji Ito books. I've read Uzumaki a couple of weeks ago and I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. I gave it 5 stars, I think. It was so creepy and the artwork was just mind-blowingly cool. So I really do want to read more of Junji Ito's books. I'm going to be reading this one, When It's Dark Outside, all moody, and yes, very excited. So according to the summary on the back of this book, apparently an unknown planet is discovered inside of a wormhole. The scientist names it Remina after his own daughter, and then Remina is on a course towards Earth, eliminating all other planets and stars near it. So yes, that sounds very, very creepy. The artwork is obviously just so cool and weird, so I'm very excited to read this. Remina is obviously a graphic novel. It's not that big, so it's got under 400 pages, and we're gonna pick the singular book, and I'm gonna put it here, and we're gonna build a road so that they connect there. Last roll now, unless I roll a 7, but yeah. That is an 8. Okay, so we're landing here because we've already had this 8. That is contemporary. Let's see. Set by the Sea. Oh, okay, I'm gonna have to think about that one. I have thought about this for quite a while now, but in the end I did remember that there is one book that is set by the sea that is contemporary that I really want to read, and that book is The Brightonians by Darren Kay. This book is clearly about the lovely little seaside town of Brighton, which is where I live. A friend of mine is currently reading this book, and she's actually how I even know about this. And according to the summary, it is about a bitter rivalry of 2 groups of socialites that live in Brighton, and then they find a 50-year-old letter belonging to a local drag queen. So I think the book is kind of a mixture of old Brighton and new Brighton and just queer experiences in this lovely little town. Brighton, to me, is the most LGBTQ friendly town in the UK. The book is actually set in Kemptown, which is the gayest area of Brighton, and Kemptown is also where I live. So I am just incredibly excited to read a book that is set exactly where I live, and it has loads of places that I know and that I've been to and that I can go to, and I just find that so exciting. So The Brightonians is obviously a very short book, so I'm gonna put this down here. I kind of went just around these ones, which looks a bit weird, but okay. So this is what the board looks like. These are my 4 prompts. In future installments of this, I might put it up to 5 or 6 or more, whatever I'm feeling, but I thought 4 is a good place to to start with. 2 thriller prompts, 1 fantasy, 1 contemporary, which I think is a really good mix for the start of autumn, the start of spooky season. I want to read a lot of thrillers this month, so yeah. Now let's move on to the books that I'm going to be reading for the Magical Readathon specifically. Obviously a few of them I've already talked about now because I'm trying to like double up, but yeah. Of course I'll leave G's video explaining the whole Magical Readathon, where you can find all of the prompts and everything down below. So the first prompt of the readathon is the Novice Path entrance. Read a book with a map. And for this one, you might think I'm gonna pick a fantasy book, but no, I am special and cool. I am going to pick a contemporary, and that is The Brightonians, which is the book I've already talked about. I don't actually have this book yet. I'm gonna buy it in the next few days, so I can't actually show you. But this book, in the beginning of the book, has a little map of Kemptown, which is where all of the people from the book live and also where I live. And I found it super exciting that there's like an actual map where you can pinpoint where everyone lives, so I can check if anyone lives on my exact street and stuff like that. So I don't know, I'm weirdly excited about that. So that's what I'll be reading for the first prompt. The next prompt is Ash Torn Tree, a book that keeps tempting you, or the book on top of your TBR. And for that prompt, I'm going to be reading Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. I've talked about this in my Edinburgh Bookshop video, so go to that video if you want more of an explanation. So this is obviously about a woman who works in a convenience store. She's been working there for 18 years, she's 36 now, she's never had a boyfriend, and her parents want her to get a different job. Her friends wonder why she's not married yet, and she has to deal with all of these different expectations from society, her family and her friends. And yeah, that's kind of what the book is about, and I've heard so many amazing things about this book. Everyone seems to love this, and I think I'm gonna love it too. That's why I'm gonna be reading this one. The third prompt is The Mist of Solitude, which is read a standalone. And for that, I'm going to be reading Remina by Junji Ito, which I've also already talked about, obviously. I think this is a standalone, I'm pretty sure. I asked my boyfriend because it's actually his copy of the book and he's already read it, and he said it's a standalone, so I'm just going to trust him. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be reading. The next prompt is Ruin of the Sky. Read a book featuring ghosts / haunted houses or other supernatural elements. And for this one, I was gonna double it up with something, I wasn't quite sure. I think one of the Dark Academia books that I want to read should have some kind of ghosts, supernatural stuff in it, but for this prompt I'm not going to pick any of those. I've actually picked City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. I've already read this book last year, however I can't remember much of it. I just read the second book and I was really struggling to remember the plot of the first one and then kind of the characters and some information about them. I just couldn't quite remember because I only listened to it as an audiobook, and I think sometimes when I listen to audiobooks I don't retain as much information, and that's why I thought I'm just going to reread this because it was a really fun read, it was really quick, it's about ghosts, so it fulfills this prompt perfectly. And another reason why I want to read this as well is because I'm actually going to be travelling to Edinburgh again in I think almost exactly 2 weeks, because there was a sale on the train tickets and I just thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to Edinburgh. And that's why I'm going to Edinburgh all by myself. And this book, City of Ghosts, is actually set in Edinburgh, and I thought it would be perfect to listen to the audiobook while walking through Edinburgh and then actually being at the places that the book is set at. I think that sounds great, so that's what I'm going to do. The next prompt is Obsidian Falls, and that is read a thriller or a mystery book. Obviously with my TBR game I already got 2 thrillers, so for that prompt I'm going to be reading Ace of Spades, which I've already talked about, and it is a thriller, so that's what I'll be reading. The next prompt is Tower of Rumination, read a 5-star prediction. And for that I am picking Legendborn because obviously I've already talked about this, but I really have only heard amazing things about this. I just know that I'm going to love it, and I'm going to be so disappointed if I don't, because this has to be a 5-star read. It has to. So that's why it fits this prompt perfectly. And the last prompt for the Magical Readathon is of course Aurelium Academy Arc, which is a book with a school setting. And obviously, like I've already said so many times now, I'm reading lots of Dark Academia books, and the book that I've picked for this is Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am about this book because it's Dark Academia, it's very, very witchy and magical, and it's queer as well. So that's clearly just perfection. So according to the summary on Storygraph, this is a horror comedy that is centered around a cursed New England boarding school for girls. It is a wickedly whimsical celebration of the art of storytelling, sapphic love, and the rebellious female spirit. It is clearly set at a school, which is in fulfillment of this prompt. So this book is about the girls at this private school, and they established a bad heroine society. Every time I say heroin, I just think of the drug. I don't know if I'm saying it wrong or if that's just the word, but so they basically just do loads of heroin at these meetings. Anyway, their meetings later lead to death. So it is very dark, very mysterious. And then the school gets shut down like 5 years later. And then this book actually is about this writer who's trying to uncover what actually happened back then because she wants to write a book about it. And that is how we find out about all of the dark and mysterious secrets at this boarding school. And it just sounds perfect. It just sounds so dark and so academia, and I am so excited. So that was all of the main prompts for the readathon. There are additional prompts for character creation, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that this month. And I don't know if we can like double it up with the actual prompts, because then I probably could make it, but we'll see. So my character is going to be a dwarf from Dark Meadow, and she lives in a city. So technically the other books that I need to read a book set in a city or town, then a dark academia book and a sci-fi book. And I've kind of already covered all of these in my TBR anyway, so I'm not sure if these would count towards that. But for these prompts, you only really need them until April next year, so I might just do these another time. But anyway, those are the main prompts that I'm going to be doing for the readathon, and obviously my TBR game prompts kind of overlap with that as well, and I think it all worked out very well. So I think my TBR is 7 books long. Obviously, in addition to these, I will also be reading a few more dark academia books, which I haven't mentioned in this TBR yet. So I think it might be about 10 books that I'm going to read overall, which is still manageable. That's like a book every 3 days. Some of these are kind of bigger, which is a bit scary, but I do have the audiobooks for loads of them, which always helps me to get through books quicker. I'm very hopeful that I can do this. Let me know in the comments down below if you're also participating in the magical readathon, and what your character is going to be and that kind of thing, and what you're planning to read in September. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.